Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a breaking live news show. There was just so much news going on that there may even be a bonus video today where I'll do my 10-minute daily news roundup, so do subscribe for that. But we've got news on Ligt, Ugarte, Xherdan, Ashworth, Hake, Van Nistelrooy, and the mad thing is I feel like Man United were waiting for July to do anything. It feels like Man United were just waiting for July to come around before they did any deals, any moves, the PSR deadline. And now we've basically having three here we goes in the space of a week. 3 deals are going to be announced this or next week. We've got the Ligt agreement, new contract being offered, Xherdan bid, Ugarte bid, Xherdan wants United, Lindelof, Maguire, McTominay up for sale, Ashworth's got this plan and Ashworth wants to bring in this player, and all of a sudden it's just so much news. Like Dan Ashworth is done, we've got the agreement today, we've got the here we go today for Dan Ashworth, but we're getting lots of insight and information on a lot of other players, and there's going to be a couple of announcements this week. So it's good as a Man United fan for there actually to be news, for there actually to be stories rather than same old rumours. Like, things are happening, people. This is a big week. And remember, I did in summer last year on really busy day news wise do videos that came out at 10 p.m. every day UK time, every day in summer on days there was busy news, but I would literally just run through all the news in like 10 minutes. I'd go through every single story that came out in the last 24 hours in 10 minutes for you guys, in the ins and the outs, and I sort them out. So do subscribe for that because I might do a bonus upload tonight. But let's just break down the basis of what we're going to talk to in today's video. Van Nistelrooy and Hake join Man United as new assistants. That's happened this week. Ashworth deal done. He will join Barada and Wilcox and start work immediately. The Ligt offered a 5-year deal and talks with Bayern to get the deal done close. Ugarte bid expected. Player wants Man United news and move, and PSG will sell for a reasonable fee. Xherdan open to Man United move. United open to offers for Lindelof, Maguire, McTominay, Casemiro, Eriksson, Wan-Bissaka, Greenwood, Sancho, Pelistri, Mejbri, and more. Movement is happening, but we need movement on the transfer front. That's the most important thing for me. Finally getting business done. We've got our guy Dan Ashworth in house. Now Dan Ashworth's in house and he's going to be working Wilcox and Barada. I think, July is going to be a big month. I think June is a slow month, and June is often a slow month when it comes to the transfer window, when it comes to transfer plans, because at the end of the day, there's PSR, there's deadlines, we didn't have everyone in. I think July is going to be a huge, massive month for Manchester United. So let's go into the news and stuff. It's nice to see the Ashworth announcement kind of out of the blue, because it felt like Ashworth was going to drag on, and it's good to just wake up and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we just got Ashworth done. Like, I know we've been working on getting Ashworth done for a while, but it's nice to get that in. Apparently Bayern want 42 million plus bonuses for De Ligt. Need to get that down about 10 million. Yeah, I wouldn't want to pay more than 40 million for De Ligt. So let's get into some of the news. Let's get into some of the stories coming out. So what are the big announcements this week? Well, Manchester United paid significantly less than 20 million for that Newcastle one for Ashworth, and Dan Ashworth's expected to be announced as Man United new director of football next week. It was also said by Ryan Pixels that Van Nistelrooy and Hake are also expected to be announced as part of Man United's coaching staff next week. So we're hopefully going to get 3 announcements this or next week in Van Nistelrooy, Dan Ashworth and Hake. That will be 3 major deals announced. But on top of those 3 major deals announced this week, Man United also want to get 3 more deals done in the next 2 weeks to announce before pre-season. And the most advanced of those is De Ligt as well. So we're going to get into that as well. Have United hired a new chef? Sounds like the club is cooking, says David. I mean, we're finally doing moves. We're finally doing business. It's nice to actually be somewhat positive. Nice to know that we're making moves. It's nice to actually be like, Ashworth is done. In the space of a week, Ashworth, Van Nistelrooy and Hake are officially joining United. Like, yes, it's not transferred. Yes, it's not ins. Yes, it's not outs. And that's what we need to focus on. But there's 3 deals that have happened this week. Van Nistelrooy, Hake, and of course, Ashworth, that are going to be announced in the next week. I don't think you can get much, pretty good week in terms of considering there was no transfers. So let's talk about De Ligt. Let's talk about all the latest in De Ligt. Let's talk about the stories, because reports are coming in that Manchester United have kind of got an agreement with De Ligt on a 5-year deal. It just depends on Bayern. So Mike Verwey is probably one of the most credible sources of information out there. He is the David Ornstein of the Netherlands. And he said this. Breaking report from the reliable Mike... Sorry, this is said by United Faithfuls. Breaking report from the reliable Mike Verwey on Matthias De Ligt to United. United and De Ligt are in talks about a transfer fee. De Ligt has been offered a 5-year deal, which has been said he will accept once his agreement has happened between both clubs. So Man United and Bayern are in talks with De Ligt about a fee. They've not reached an agreement, but De Ligt is going to reach an agreement on a 5-year deal. And Ten Hag has obviously had several phone conversations with Matthias De Ligt. It was said by Mike Burry that De Ligt received a contract proposal from Man United to sign for 5 years. An agreement between De Ligt's entourage and United is expected soon. Mike Burry is saying the agreement between Man United and De Ligt and a 5-year deal is expected. And Mike Burry is, as I said, the David Ornstein of the Netherlands. You're not going to get much better than him as well. Thoughts on the new kit? I like the new kit, particularly the sponsor. I haven't seen the goalkeeper one yet. I will have to have a look. But I like the sponsor of the new kit. It reminds me of the Vodafone days. It's the most aesthetically pleasing sponsor we've had. So, De Ligt in talks with Ten Hag. Man United in talks with Bayern over a fee. Apparently the fee is 42 million. We're going to talk about that in a second. And De Ligt is about to agree a 5-year deal. And that's been said by the David Ornstein of the Netherlands, Mike Burry. Florian Plettenberg then said this: Manchester United and Bayern are now in contact about a permanent deal for De Ligt, and De Ligt is keen on joining and you can sign a contract up to 2024. So not just that, he's saying again further confirmation that De Ligt will join United. Dan Xherdan has said that Manchester United are in talks with Bayern Munich over a possible transfer of Matthias De Ligt, and that Manchester United, according to Rob Dawson, have stepped up their interest in De Ligt and have made contact with De Ligt's representatives. An official approach to Bayern is expected soon. Bayern Munich are demanding at least 42 million plus bonuses for De Ligt, which is the stumbling block. This is the big question. Because for me, with De Ligt's poor form, with De Ligt's wages, if we're turning our nose up at 60 million for Braithwaite, if we're walking away other deals, I want De Ligt for 40 million. I want to get De Ligt for 40 million. That's it. For me, I know that Bayern paid 65 million for him, but he hasn't been good. He's on high wages. He's 5th on our list. I want to see if we can get De Ligt in a cut price of about 40 million. And we'll play Bayern around and say, we're not that bothered. He's 5th choice. We only want him if he's available for the right price. And we know that you've got to sell him now. You signed 2 centre-backs and you're kind of desperate to sell him. So, give us De Ligt for 40 million. How about Mark Gay? I do like Mark Gay. He's a good player. But I think because he's played at the Euros and because he's English and Crystal Palace have already sold Elise and Mesa as I think will be priced out of a move for Gay. I don't actually think he'd be any cheaper than Braithwaite, if I'm going to be honest with you as well. Apparent time payout, we won 2-2. I mean, I don't know if you would. I'd say Newcastle won. Man United are getting Dan Ashworth on the cheap. We're not giving you 20 million. It's apparently going to be a 3 million compensation. It just was about the weird deadline all along as well. But yeah, so obviously the update is that we've got 3 deals have been done this week. Ashworth is done, Hake is done, Van Nistelrooy is done. 3 deals were done this week, and 3 deals are set to be announced as done at Manchester United in the next week. Bosh. Then we've got talks of De Ligt agreeing a 5-year deal with Manchester United. That's going to happen. Then we've got talks of the price being 42 million, which I'd personally lower. And then we're going to get into some Xerxes, Ugarte news, some news on the outs as well. What's happening with Anthony Gordon? I think he's going to stay put at Newcastle, but Liverpool are pushing for him. No chance he goes to United. So Xerxes, Ugarte, De Ligt, done deal. The three done deals are Hake, Van Nistelrooy, Ashworth. But there's an expectation that Ugarte and De Ligt and Xerxes could be done deals. Now, I'm more sceptical on Xerxes, if I'm going to be completely honest. I'm more sceptical on Xerxes. I think Italian media are making Xerxes look a bit more advanced than it actually is. So let's talk about Ugarte quickly, because Ugarte is one that I think is going to progress a lot, and I think we will sign Ugarte. I think we're going to sign Ugarte and De Ligt. I'm not so sure about Xerxes, so let's get into the Ugarte news. Manchester United are expected to make a concrete offer for Manuel Ugarte. The United see Maynard as more of a box-to-box option, hence the need for a more defensive pick in midfield. Casemiro is expected to depart this summer. So it was coming out from Pete Hall that United expected to make a concrete offer from Ugarte. Some reports said we already made a bid for Ugarte, but PSG rejected it. A lot of other reports, including Sky Sports, are saying Man United are in talks with PSG over Ugarte and are expected to put in a second bid because PSG will sell for a reasonable fee just below the 50 million they paid for him, which is quite a reasonable fee. It was then said by sources in Uruguay that positive talks are ongoing between Manchester United and PSG for Manuel Ugarte, and United may send in their first official offer in the next hour. So they're saying, according to reports in Uruguay, and these are the same reports in Uruguay that have said multiple things about the case. Reports in Uruguay are coming out and they're saying a lot of information. So let me break down what's been said according to reports in Uruguay. And again, these reports are no Ornstein, they're no Romano. You've got to take these stories with a pinch of salt. But it has officially been said that on Man United, that Ugarte is very open to the Man United move and he knows he has to leave PSG. What's been said is Ugarte will leave PSG. PSG have told Ugarte he can leave. Ugarte is open to Manchester United. He actually prefers Manchester United out of all the clubs interested in him, which include Bayern Munich, apparently. He wants United. He's sold on United. Man United have had talks with Ugarte and his agent. They've sussed out that the wages are quite reasonable and they're going to push for Ugarte. PSG, you've got to pay 50 million for Ugarte. They want to get most of that money back. There's a feeling that Man United could get an Ugarte deal done for 40 million. Ugarte is at Copa America playing well. Uruguay probably the favourites along with Argentina. But it said there could be advancements this week as United are putting in bids for PSG and Ugarte will agree to join Manchester United. I'm just going to take a quick swig of this. But you're getting a lot of positive news in Ugarte. And again, a lot of this is coming out from Uruguayan media, that Ugarte, this and Ugarte, that. But Fabrizio Romano, who is one of the most, if not the most reliable source when it comes to more international news, I think honestly is the best when it comes to English news, is Romano said Ugarte wants Man United. Romano said it is 90% that Ugarte leaves PSG and he does want Man United, and PSG do want to sell and they do want to sell for a reasonable fee. And Man United are generally interested in bringing in Ugarte. Now, as I've always said, I would like Ugarte in Fofana. I wouldn't want Ugarte to be our only midfield signing. But it's a good deal and it's a good move from United as well. Could Forlan be helping United get Ugarte? Maybe. I think, look, at the end of the day, Ugarte is leaving PSG because he's been told you're not in our plans, you're not going to play. It's just between us and the competition for Ugarte as well. We now have Ashworth and all the backroom staff sorted. Let's see some action and less talk. Deadwood out and some decent footballers in. No gold diggers, please. I absolutely agree with that comment as well. De Ligt to be United captain for the next 5 years. I mean, De Ligt has captain mindset, but he's injured and he's not been great form lately, so have to see how he steps up as well. And yeah, Xherdan news is always a bit like hot and cold, to be honest. Elise is a big miss, yes. There's reports of United potentially trying to hijack the Elise deal, but I would take that with a pinch of salt. So let's get into the next story, because look, I like De Ligt, but I'm worried about his wages. I like Ugarte, obviously there's worries about his form. So we've got a few news stories on potential outs going on inside United. It was said that Manchester United are open to offers for Victor Lindelof and Harry Maguire this summer. If one leaves, United will push to bring in 2 new centre-backs. So we know that Man United want to sign 2 new centre-backs because signing De Ligt and no one else doesn't really help our injury rows, because you've replaced an injury-prone Varane with an even more injury-prone De Ligt. We need 2 centre-back signings, 100%. And I think United have realised that. And they're pushing for one of Maguire or Lindelof to leave. Now, I think Lindelof is the more likely to leave of the 2 because he's cheaper, he's on lower wages, and he's more likely going to want to leave because Maguire turned down offers to leave and he'd rather stay. But I think if we're going to sell one, it's most likely going to be Lindelof. And it's very obvious that United are very much pushing for Lindelof to leave. He's had talks with clubs in Turkey. He's had talks with many clubs abroad. And hopefully we can get a somewhat decent fee for Lindelof. It was said by iPaper Sport that following down Ashworth's arrival, Manchester United can now concentrate on pushing for a deal for top target Xherdan, who the club see as the perfect fit to revive Rasmus Højlund with some support up front. Talks are progressing with United willing to meet Xherdan's 35 million release clause. So again, more stories coming in of who we're going to sell and who we might like to sign. And one of the players we're interested in signing to help Rasmus Højlund is Xherdan with his 34 million release clause. Which brings us into more stories on the ins as well. It was said between today and tomorrow, it is a possible turning point for Joshua Xherdan's future. There's a feeling that Joshua Xherdan's official decision will be known to the public soon. It's between Manchester United, it's between AC Milan. Now, your tier 1 sources have said that AC Milan still have the agreement and they're the favourites. Your less reliable sources keep saying Man United's the favourite, but I'm not sure if they're using us for clicks, if I'm going to be totally honest. I still think deep down AC's the favourite, but I really hope he comes to United because his ability to drop deep and facilitate play is exactly what we need as well. Alice, you've been really negative towards De Ligt. Apart from Martinez, De Ligt is way better than they said about we have. We do. Look, the reason I've been negative about De Ligt is we sold Varane because he's on high wages and injury prone, and we brought in De Ligt who's on high wages and injury prone. And yes, De Ligt is much younger, but it was more that Man United kept saying we're no longer going to go for high wage players off Bayern and Real Madrid that they don't want anymore because they haven't been good enough. We're going to find fresh gems that are lesser known and make a step up. I like De Ligt. I think De Ligt's a good player. I think if De Ligt is the De Ligt that he was under Ten Hag at Ajax and reaches his potential, he's a good player. He's good in the air. He can be a good partner for Martinez. But when there's a really good centre-back market out there with some really good value for money options, I look at Diamonde, I look at me, that'll be on lower wages and cost less than De Ligt. I do think that there was better fish in the sea than De Ligt. It's not me being so much negative towards De Ligt. It's just me having the opinion that I like De Ligt. I think it could be a good signing, but I'd like 2 defenders in. I don't think he's reliable. I think it's a risk, and he was 5th, 6th choice. And you also got to think as well, like, it's a very Ten Hag deal. ex-Ajax. You know, is this an Ineos deal? Is this a Ten Hag deal? Ineos keep talking about, changing things up, their new recruitment, and getting someone that's worked under Ten Hag before. That's how I feel on the Ligt situation. Like, I'm a big fan of Xerxes, I'm a big fan of Ugarte, but with Matthijs de Ligt, I think he's a good player, and I think he can be a good signing for United, but I just think value for money wise, I just have always thought maybe there's better fish in the sea. You know, Todibo would have been a cheaper deal than de Ligt. Obviously, we can't get Todibo, but I think there's probably better fish in the sea, if I'm being honest. Now, one option, talking to midfielders, is that Amrabat could stay. And again, I like Amrabat. I don't mind him staying as a second midfield signing, but if he's the only midfield signing, he's not going to improve the squad because he couldn't last season. So I just give my opinion on each deal. Like, if we sign de Ligt, I back him. I hope he does well. I'll be happy it's a signing. We need two centre-backs. But if de Ligt was our only centre-back signing, I would have elements of concern because of his injury proneness as well. Any left centre-back if Branthwaite's off? Well, reports are coming out that Branthwaite to Manchester United looks pretty much off, which is worrying. So I want to talk about a few other stories, but it looks like de Ligt and Inacio and Gueye are the ones that we've explored the most out of all the centre-backs. Now, one option that could be getting explored is McTominay to Fulham. Give Me Sport are saying that Fulham are exploring a move for Scott McTominay and Man United are willing to sell him for the right price. Now, interestingly, I'm not too bothered about the Fulham situation. Whether they'll go for him or not, who knows? But it has been confirmed again by another source that Man United are willing to sell McTominay for the right price, which I like. McTominay is homegrown. He's a good option off the bench, but he's been here too long. He's not good enough to start. He's one of the few players we can actually get a decent amount of money for. And people are saying, look, McTominay is available for the right price. Man United are willing to listen to offers for McTominay, which I think is good because you can get 35, 40 million for him, and maybe you can invest that money in two midfielders, an Ugarte. Cool, that's the first one in, but now you've got the funds to get Fofana in or a Weaver in on top of an Ugarte to completely rebuild United's midfield as well. Why go for de Ligt if he's injury prone? That's the worry. He has been very injury prone lately, and with the injuries we've had, that's my biggest worry with de Ligt as well. Varane was at least PL proven and knows how to play under high pressure, and that's the thing. I get that de Ligt's a lot younger than Varane, but when Varane is injured less than de Ligt, when Varane is on similar wages to de Ligt, and Varane has been good and is Premier League proven, was it worth paying 40 million for de Ligt to get Varane out because de Ligt's wages are 50k a year less or something? That's the problem. And Varane was also willing to take a pay cut to stay at Manchester United. So I do, elements of me does question that sort of decision with Varane going. I'm going to be honest as well. It worries me, but it didn't want him and Juventus, but I have faith in Ten Hag, and injuries wasn't major. I think the longest time he was out was 101 days with shoulder injury. It's annoying that he's had a lot of time out with shoulder injuries, but he's not really clicked on at his last two clubs, and that's my worry with de Ligt. He's not been super convincing at Bayern, he's not been super convincing at Juventus, and they were more than willing to sell him after both paying big fees for him. That's the big worry with de Ligt. He's not really kicked on since Ajax, as you said as well. Varane was on 360k a week, de Ligt was on half of that. What are you saving with Varane and fun with de Ligt and Branthwaite for FFP? De Ligt and Branthwaite's wages combined would probably be the same as Varane's if we did sign them both. Although I think Varane's wages were 280k a week, not 360, but I'd have to see. Alice, they need to revamp the medical department, absolutely, and that's something Dan Ashworth will work on. One thing that Dan Ashworth's done at his other clubs is work with the medical department and focus on revamping that. Ten Hag's worked with de Ligt and got the best out of him at Ajax, true. At the end of the day, if someone's going to get the best out of de Ligt, it's Ten Hag. He worked with de Ligt, he got the best out of him at Ajax, of course. I think they can work really well together. I think they can be a really, really good duo, Ten Hag and de Ligt. But also, he worked really well with Anthony. He worked really, really well with Anthony, and he came to Man United, didn't work. There's this scepticism. The thing with de Ligt is, we know there's a player there. We know his potential. We all wanted him at Man United a couple of years ago, and we got Maguire. If anyone's going to get the best out of him, it would be Ten Hag, but he's not been brilliant at his last two clubs, and that's something we have to work on. That's something we've got to sort of figure out and think, okay, well, he's not been amazing at his last two clubs. Bayern sells those players are not worth or not of top quality. That's the problem. If Bayern and Real Madrid are willing to sell a player, it's because they're viewed as not top quality. Maybe de Ligt is a system player, but I would recommend you try a video comparing de Ligt with other centre-backs. Potentially, I could do that, a video of comparing de Ligt with other centre-backs as well. And Varane questioned some of the training as being not good enough, not as good as Real Madrid. Everyone's getting cleared out, but that doesn't fully toe the line. To be fair, there was reports and rumours of Varane falling out with the hierarchy at Man United because he was questioning the training and saying, this isn't to the levels of the training we had at Real Madrid. In other news, it was said that Man United are not expected to make an offer for Jarrad Branthwaite and that they could change their mind if Everton lower the asking price. But there's been a lot of news and reports about Man United not going in with a further offer for Branthwaite. Guys, if you're just joining the show, I want to quickly summarise some of the news that we've spoken about. Obviously, Van Nistelrooy Rennie hacked to Man United. That is a done deal. There should be an announcement soon. Ashworth is a done deal today. Or John Barado and Wilcox should be an announcement soon. De Ligt has been offered a 5-year deal with United, which he's expected to accept and has had talks with Bayern to get the deal done, get the deal close. Ugarte bid is expected. The player reportedly wants to move to United for a reasonable fee. There's also reports coming in that Xherdan is open to going to Man United over Milan, but that's not been confirmed. And United are willing to listen to offers for Lindelof, Maguire, McTominay, Casemiro, Eriksson, Greenwood, Sancho, Pulisic, Mejbri and more. A lot of players are up for sale. Not many players are safe. So United seems to be making movement on the transfer front. Obviously, Dan Ashworth's agreed, and we're only going to pay Newcastle a couple million in compensation. Van Nistelrooy and Rennie Hackett are going to be announced next week or this week as part of the coaching staff, which is great. De Ligt's been offered a 5-year deal, which he hasn't accepted yet, but he will accept once there's an exception between Man United and Bayern Munich there as well. It was said that De Ligt being offered a 5-year contract is something he expects to accept very soon. He's open to the Man United move. And yeah, De Ligt's sort of keen on Manchester United and joining and relinking with Ten Hag. And De Ligt to Man United seems to be a deal and a situation that's been massively advancing and moving on as well, with United stepping up their interest in De Ligt. And Bayern apparently are demanding about 42 million spend plus bonuses for Matthijs De Ligt, which I think is a bit on the hefty side. With Ugarte, it said that United are going to make an offer for Manuel Ugarte. They see him as a good option for Maino, and that talks are going well. Man United may send in the first offer. And this source also said that a lot of people inside Man United really do like Ugarte, and Ugarte is open to the move. Then we have news on outs. Lindelof and Maguire, one of them they want to sell so we can bring in another centre-back. Joshua Zirkzee wanted by Ashworth, could be a first signing as well. And then a couple of other stories going about Zirkzee to United and the agent situation. There's more reports coming out saying Zirkzee could join United. Gutierrez or Kirkes, value for money, Gutierrez as well. De Ligt, Branthwaite, let's be real, lads. I mean, I personally prefer Branthwaite, but I just think lower wages and stuff, but I think De Ligt potentially back in his day when he was Branthwaite's age had a higher ceiling. But listen, people, I'm going to round up the live stream here. I just wanted to make it short and sweet, so please do hit that like button if you haven't already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks if you're new. I will be back tonight with a 10-minute roundup of all the latest Manchester United news. See you then. Bye.